Good morning, good morning. How's it going, guys? Nice to have you today on this beautiful sunny day outside. Looking gorgeous out there. Spring is definitely in the air. We can see the snow melting and the warmth is coming in, and the kids are outside every second they get an opportunity to ride their bikes. They don't care if it's still, only 5 degrees Celsius out there. They're out there enjoying themselves. So, big moves have been taking place in the markets. S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, all down. Big drops. People are freaking out. People are wondering, should we hold our shares? Should we not? What should we do? So later today, we're going to be doing a level 3 session where we're going to be looking at a list of stocks, and we're going to look through the charts and see which ones are good for long signals. And so we're going to take our time doing that today. That's at 9 o'clock. But in order to be able to determine with a high degree of certainty that a stock is going to move, one of the things that we would like to see is we'd like to see that stock in a sector that is doing well. So, how do we know if a sector is doing well? Well, one of the best ways is to look at the sector ETF and see if we see institutional buying taking place in that sector or not, because you'd be really surprised to see if the banks are buying into a sector. It usually means the stocks that are in that sector, if it's a good company, they're going to do well as well. So that's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to look at the sectors together and take a look at what the institutions are doing. And then you can take it from there. You can go into many different websites and look at different stocks in those sectors and determine for yourself what stock looks good for you to buy. So the first one we have here is XLB. And XLB, we have, it represents the material sector, okay? So I'm going to go through the different time frames again, and I'm going to show you whether or not they are bullish, bearish, waiting for a signal, and all that sort of thing, okay? So the first things first, I'm going to look at the monthly time frame, and I'm going to say it is bullish. Now, why is it bullish? Well, because we have an uptrend and we have a demand zone that is in play, okay? So that is bullish. We expect upside from here. All right, plain and simple. So for the materials sector, we have a monthly demand zone in play. We have an uptrend, and so we suspect that price is going to move higher from there. Okay, and the interesting thing is when we look at the weekly time frame, we have something interesting taking place here. I'd also say it is bullish, and the reason being is because it took out an area of supply and is creating some demand. So not only do we have an area that over the long term should see continued buying and pushing price to the upside, but also over the medium time frame, we have buying coming in, which should see price head higher from this area here. Now, if you're a super conservative trader and you kind of are holding off on buying because of the markets dropping, then you would need to focus your attention to the daily chart. And as you can see, if price was to rally from here, we would be contacting an area of supply here. Not just that, but if you take a look, we have a trend line coming back from further. So if you're a super conservative trader and you wanted to wait until something was really good looking and setting up for a nice long trade, then my thoughts would be to wait for that area to be taken out. Very critical spot, this area here, because we've got supply and a descending trend line. Wait for that to be taken out, and then wait for the breakout, the drop, and then go long there. Okay, but material sector is looking very good. Communication sector. All right, so what do we have? Well, let's take a look. If we look at the monthly time frame, what do we see? Price was basing at the highs and it's now retracing. All right, so would you say it is Bullish, bearish, what would you say? I would say proceed with caution, okay? And my caution is the yellow box, okay? Proceed with caution. Now, why would I proceed with caution? Okay, well, unlike the other chart that we were just looking at, the other chart had a nice uptrend and it had demand. Now, do we have demand here? Yes, we do have demand here, right there. But do we have an upward trend? Look at this area here. Do we have an upward trend? We don't have an upward trend. We have a big move to the upside, but we wouldn't consider this to be an upward trend. Very overextended. We don't know if this area is going to hold or not. So this is why I'd be cautious with this chart. I'd let price come down to that area, but then I'd be looking for some sort of a signal um, to show that the banks indeed want to buy from here and that they want to shoot price to the upside. So I'd be very careful with just plainly going long there because of these circumstances. I'd be watching price down here, see if it wants to bottom here, and then starts to rally from there. And then we could have a long signal from down that area. But as far as I'm concerned, this is not done dropping. So expecting the communication sector to continue going lower. All right. All right, now we have the energy sector. And if we look at the energy sector, what are we seeing with gold? Sorry, gold with the monthly time frame. I'm reading the chart, the chat here, and I see somebody writing, can we see gold? Today we're not looking at gold. Today we're looking at the sectors, okay? So we have, let's open this up here so you can see. We had this situation here. We had institutional supply up at these highs, and the supply was holding for some time, okay? We got a couple contacts here, but then eventually it got taken out. We have institutional demand that came in here. Price contacted it. Price rallied up. Didn't do much. Came back down. Contacted that demand again. Rallied up. Didn't do much. Contacted it again. And this is what it looks like on the weekly time frame. Okay. So as you can see, I have institutional supply that has been created here. So personally, I wouldn't be bullish this chart unless this supply got broken through and price continued higher. All right. So I'd be very cautious with this one. All right. So again, going to my yellow, I'd be cautious with it. I wouldn't say it's bullish, even though it took out a massive area of supply, which normally would make me think that it's bullish. But there's a lack of proper trends, a lack of price shooting with momentum to the upside. And so I'd be very cautious with that. So that means I have to be focusing my attention on other things to look for a signal. And in this case, I'd be looking at that weekly area of supply, wait for it to get taken out, and then I'd be interested in going long. Okay? All right, financial sector. This is a good one. So the financial sector, if we look at the monthly time frame, we can see that it is bullish. All right. Why is it bullish? Well, look at the trend. Not only do we have an uptrend, but we also have a demand zone here, right here. Okay. So demand, uptrend, this is good. But are we expecting price to go up right now? No, we're not. We're expecting price to continue downward until demand is contacted. So it's bullish because it has a nice uptrend. It's got demand and it's in, a bullish structure. So, but the monthly chart represents a longer time frame. So many weeks, many months is longer time frame, okay? So we expect price to drop over the next few weeks, contact demand, and then there's a good chance that we see a rally form from here. So, but that's down in this area. So if you're interested in the financial sector stocks, uh, I think longer term, very high odds that we'll see price continue higher after a little bit more of a drop. If you are a conservative trader, then I would be looking at the daily time frame, watching momentum shift back to the upside and then buying retracements, okay? Let me just go back and show you in a different way. Let me pull it back like this, okay? So that demand zone is down here. So I'd be watching for price to come down, create a base, shoot up, pull back for the move to the upside. If you're conservative, that is what I'd be watching for in the financial sector. If this takes place on a daily time frame as it drops down here, then I'm going to be looking for financial sector stocks and looking to buy. Okay. Industrial sector. Okay. So industrial sector, we had a long signal back here at 126. That was many, many months ago. So if I look at the monthly time frame, what do I think? I think it is bullish. Why is that? Well, because it has an uptrend and it has demand right here. Uh, does it have room for price to drop? Yes. I suspect that price is going to continue dropping until it contacts that area of demand. Once it contacts that area of demand, I don't think it's the highest quality area of demand. So again, like I was showing you with the other chart, on the daily chart, I'd be watching for price to come down into that area. That's the 120s to 124s. So that's down here. Let it settle, break out, pull back, and buy. Okay? That's what I'd be waiting for. I wouldn't buy blindly there because it's not the greatest looking area of demand. I prefer for it to be better quality. And so since it's not better quality, I got to wait for the proper setup. Okay? So for the time being, that chart is bearish until that demand gets contacted. Now we got the technology sector. So we've been seeing a lot of weakness across the board with the technology sector. And if we look at the ETF, I suspect that we're going to get more bearishness here. Okay, a push down to this area. It's the 183, 197 area. We previously contacted that, and that was used to propel price higher. We're falling down right now. We haven't contacted it yet, and there's more of a drop to take place. So it's not the best looking chart. This chart here, it's really not that great looking. Yes, we have an uptrend, demand, but the important thing to recognize here is demand has already been used to propel price higher. Okay, so if price does come down to here, you'd need to see momentum shifting. All right, because there's a very good chance that that zone breaks through because it's already been used to propel price higher in the past. So I'd be very cautious with that. Okay, consumer staples. We did have a nice uptrend here, and price did come down into that area. So we have the monthly chart bullish. It contacted some demand, but it failed to close above the previous highs here, showing weakness. On the weekly time frame, we have demand that has been created down here. So I'll be watching. If price gets down there, I'll be watching to see on the lower time frames if momentum wants to shift back to the upside. If it wants to shift back to the upside, we could get the consumer staples sector to remain strong. Otherwise, if this demand zone breaks to the downside, then that's not going to be good for consumer staples. Okay. So just be watchful of that. Now let's go to utilities. What do we have? So utilities recently created some institutional demand right here. Price rallied up and now it's falling short of hitting that area. If price does drop to this area of demand, I suspect that there's a good chance that price will shift momentum to the upside. But one thing I want to point out is that on the weekly time frame, we have some supply here. So really, I wouldn't be very interested in buying this one until that area of supply got taken out. And then we could see more upside. Okay, until that, I'd be very suspect because monthly time frame doesn't have any uptrends. It just has some demand there. Okay, healthcare sector. If If I look at it, it looks very weak. So technically, I would be looking at this monthly time frame and saying I'm neutral. Okay, I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish. It's just sitting sideways, not doing anything. If I look at the weekly time frame, the same thing. I'm neutral. It hasn't contacted any significant areas of supply or demand. On the daily time frame, I would be bearish because it has contacted some supply here. So the expected move is to the downside. As you can see, it's already making that move. Other than that, not much to see here. You look at the higher time frame charts, it can definitely drop, but there's no trade here for me, and there's no strong indication of any type of direction. So I just leave it alone. All right, so now we have consumer discretionary. This is a big one. This is a big one because if you look at the monthly time frame, it was bullish. I'd consider to be more bearish now because of what is taking place. As you can see, we have an institutional demand area that is currently being taken out. So the banks are saying we are not interested. We are not interested in taking price higher. Okay. We're not interested in that. We are interested in taking price lower. So this is over the long term. Consumer discretionary, long term, they're looking at dropping price. So they're in the process of doing that. Now the question is, how far are we going to drop to? If we look at the weekly time frame, we see some demand is just below. That could bring in a short-term rally, but overall, this move to the downside, there's no telling where this is going to respond from, because there's no significant areas of demand on the higher time frame to stop this from dropping even further. We might have something in this area here. Let me draw it here. Okay, might be. Okay, I would be very careful with that. Okay, there might be a drop down to this area where we'll see some kind of reaction, but again, I'd be very careful with that. Bottom line is, all I'm seeing here across the board is weakness with this consumer discretionary. So those stocks that fall into that category, just recognize that probably not be the best opportunity to be buying right now, the consumer discretionary stocks. Okay, and what does that mean? Does that mean that there's going to be a recession coming? Maybe. Remember what consumer discretionary is. It's where people use their discretionary funds. Okay, so if they don't have a lot of money, they're not going to be buying things that they don't actually need to be buying, right? So it looks like the market is predicting that people are not going to be spending so much money on things that they don't need to be buying. So I'd be careful with those type of stocks because the sector is looking very weak. All right, folks. I hope this was helpful to you. I know it is helpful to me. I will be using this information in my own trading, and hope you will as well. Until next time, you take care. Have yourself a good weekend, and we'll talk to you